Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, let me speak to the part of you that is tired but still fighting, to the soul that is weary but refuses to quit. Sit with me for a while in the warmth of truth and let us talk plain. You see, change does not come with a trumpet. It does not knock on your door with grand promises. No, it arrives quiet and trembling like a new dawn, asking only if you are ready to rise with it. You are not what they said you were. You are not your past. You are not the sum of broken days or faded chances. You are more, much more. And if nobody has told you that lately, hear it now. You are enough. You always have been. Change begins the moment you stop blaming and start owning. That truth may sting, but it will also set you free. Because as long as you are pointing fingers, your power is leaking. Every time you say, they made me this way, or I can't help it because of them, you hand over your strength like it was never yours to begin with. The world may have bruised you. Life may have taken you through storms that nearly broke your back. But healing cannot happen in a mind that still believes the chains are someone else's doing. When you blame, you wait. You wait for them to fix it. You wait for the apology that may never come. You wait for the world to turn in your favor. And while you wait, you wither. But when you own it, even the messy parts, something begins to stir. You step into the driver's seat of your life, shaky hands on the wheel, and you whisper, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. That is where transformation begins. In that still moment where you no longer seek rescue from the outside. In that brave space where you say, I was hurt, yes, but I will not stay wounded. You start realizing that freedom is not forgetting, it's forgiving. Not for them, for you. You stop drinking the poison of anger, expecting it to burn in someone else. You clean your own house. You sweep your own corners, and you make peace with your past, not because it was right, but because carrying it was too heavy for too long. This kind of transformation does not come with noise. It comes in quiet decisions. The choice to speak differently about yourself. The choice to stop saying, that's just how I am, and start asking, is that still who I want to be? It comes in learning how to respond instead of react. It comes in breathing through discomfort and knowing that temporary pain is the price of permanent growth. Your mindset is the soil and your thoughts are the seeds. If you plant blame, you'll grow bitterness. But if you plant responsibility, you'll harvest strength. And strength grows into clarity. Clarity becomes confidence. Confidence opens doors that fear once locked shut. All of that comes from one powerful shift, letting go of blame, choosing to own your journey. The truth is, transformation does not require permission. Not from your past, not from your family, not from anyone who couldn't see your worth. It only requires you to show up. To meet yourself right where you are and choose not to stay there. And you do that by taking ownership, not with shame, not with guilt, but with grace. You look yourself in the eye and say, I may not be where I want to be, but I am no longer pretending someone else is holding me back. When you own your choices, even the poor ones, you reclaim your power. You begin to understand that growth and discomfort are siblings, that new beginnings are often disguised as painful endings, that the only thing standing between the life you live and the life you dream is the courage to believe you are responsible for both. So stop waiting for someone to change. Be the one, be the shift, be the breakthrough you've been hoping for. It's because the moment you start blaming and start owning is the moment you begin to rise. You cannot grow into who you are while clinging to who you were. That truth, simple as it may sound, holds the weight of every dream you have yet to chase and every version of yourself you are afraid to meet. Growth demands surrender. It asks you to release the stories that kept you small, the roles you played for too long, and the identities you wore because someone else handed them to you. You were never meant to stay the same. Seasons change, rivers shift, trees shed what no longer serves them. So why are you still holding on to what no longer fits the shape of your becoming? There is comfort in the familiar. even when it hurts. We stay in places that drain us because we know the rhythm of it. We repeat patterns not because they work, but because they are predictable. But transformation whispers that comfort and purpose rarely share the same bed. You cannot walk forward while looking backward. You cannot build new habits while clinging to old excuses. You cannot speak life and still keep company with the silence that once held your voice hostage. Sometimes the person you have outgrown will fight to stay alive inside you. That old self, the one shaped by fear, by survival, by scarcity, will beg to remain. It will remind you of your past. It will pull at your guilt. It will tell you that changing means betraying who you used to be. But listen, growing is not betrayal. Growing is honoring every version of yourself by not staying there forever. The past was necessary. It gave you lessons. It gave you grit. It gave you stories that only you can tell. But it was never meant to define you. It was meant to prepare you. And now the question is not, who were you? The question is, who are you becoming? And becoming requires release. You must be willing to loosen your grip on old beliefs that kept you safe but not fulfilled. You must be willing to challenge your own thinking, to question what you once accepted as truth, and to stretch beyond the edges of who you've been. This is not about pretending to be someone new. This is about remembering who you've always been, beneath the layers of fear, doubt, and survival. You are not just the product of your experiences. You are the author of what comes next. And that next chapter requires you to walk differently, speak differently, love differently. Growth does not always announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes it comes softly in the way you choose patience over anger, the way you no longer chase people who won't stay, the way you believe in your worth even when no one is clapping. Those are the small rebellions that say, I am not who I used to be. Those are the quiet revolutions that build the life you were born to live, but you must let go. Let go of the fear of what people will think when you evolve. Let go of the desire to make everyone comfortable with your change. Let go of the belief that you owe anyone the old version of you. You don't, because the version of you that is waiting on the other side of growth is braver, softer, wiser, and ready. But you cannot meet them while holding hands with the person you used to be, so loosen your grip, breathe deep, and step forward. Growth is not only possible, it is already calling your name. Seed your mind with purpose, or it will feast on fear. That is a truth too many overlook while wondering why they feel stuck, why peace feels like a stranger, and why their reflection no longer looks like hope. Your mind is always listening, always watching, always absorbing. What you allow in becomes what you give out. You cannot expect joy to flow from a mind filled with bitterness. You cannot expect courage from thoughts soaked in doubt. The mind does not grow in silence. It grows from what you plant. And what you feed it becomes your truth. Wake up and scroll through chaos, and chaos becomes your companion. Dwell on past mistakes, and guilt becomes your guide. Let fear whisper to you each night, and eventually you will begin to speak its language. That is why you must be intentional. You must choose what you allow to echo in the corridors of your mind. Because if you do not choose, the world will choose for you. And the world is loud with distraction, heavy with noise, full of opinions that never cared for your healing in the first place. Purpose is not just about goals. Purpose is about alignment. It is feeding your mind with thoughts that lift, with visions that build, with words that nurture the person you are becoming. It is learning how to turn down the volume of fear and turn up the sound of truth. And that takes discipline. It takes honesty. It takes waking up and saying, I will not let negativity set the tone for my day. I will not let fear be the storyteller of my life. You have the power to change not by pretending fear doesn't exist, but by refusing to give it the microphone. You change it by speaking life when it would be easier to complain. You change it by reading what feeds your soul, by listening to voices that expand your spirit, by surrounding yourself with people who don't just challenge you, but believe in your ability to rise. Feeding your mind with purpose means choosing stillness over noise, reflection over reaction, growth over comfort. It is turning your attention to what matters even when the world pulls at your attention like 1,000 restless hands. It is choosing to be informed but not consumed, aware but not afraid, real but rooted in vision. Do not underestimate the power of one thought. One thought can shift the course of your entire day. One seed of truth can silence 1,000 lies. One moment of clarity can open a new door in your mind that leads to everything you thought you couldn't have. But that can only happen if you are willing to guard your inner space like sacred ground, because it is. You cannot build strength on a diet of doubt. You cannot cultivate joy with a mind full of chaos. And you certainly cannot move forward while feeding yourself the same stories that held you back. Be kind to yourself. Be firm with your focus. Feed your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. Fear is loud, yes, but so is purpose. So is truth. So is hope when you finally let it speak. So train your thoughts like a garden. Pull the weeds daily. Water it with wisdom. Expose it to light, and you will watch how quickly the mind begins to mirror the beauty you've always carried. Choose today what you will feed, because what you feed, you become. Transformation is not a moment, but a daily decision. It is not something you stumble into one morning and wear like a new coat. It is something you choose again and again, even on the days when your soul is tired and the mirror does not reflect who you're trying to be. Becoming is not one bold leap. It is 1,000 quiet steps. It is discipline when no one is watching. It is grace when you fail. It is the courage to try again and again and again. We love the idea of sudden change, the dramatic breakthrough, the shining revelation that turns our life around in one perfect moment. But real transformation does not work like that. It shows up slowly like the sun behind the clouds. It speaks softly, asking you to do the hard thing one more time, to wake up and choose intention over impulse, to forgive when anger feels easier, to keep speaking life even when your world doesn't look like it's listening yet. Every day, you get a chance to choose the direction of your becoming. And that choice may look small. It may be in the way you speak to yourself when no one else hears. It may be in the way you sit with your pain instead of running from it. It may be in your decision to get up when staying down would be more comfortable. That is the work. That is transformation. Not a grand show, but a sacred commitment to keep walking. Some days you will feel strong. Some days you will feel like a stranger to yourself. Both are part of the path, because change is not a straight road. It twists, it loops, it tests your patience and your belief. There will be setbacks. There will be moments when you forget how far you've come. But that's when the real decision is made, not in the easy days, but in the difficult ones. When nothing around you is encouraging and you still choose to believe in who you're becoming. You may not see the results right away. You may not feel different every morning, but if you're choosing truth over lies, healing over hiding, love over fear, then trust me, you are changing. The roots always grow before the bloom. The quiet work always comes before the celebration. So be faithful to the process, be gentle with your progress, and never underestimate the power of showing up for your own life day by day. Transformation does not ask for perfection. It only asks for presence. To be present in your own choices, to be present in your own thoughts, to stay awake to your life, even when it aches. Because it is in that presence that new patterns are built, that habits shift, that identities evolve. Not because the world gave you a moment, but because you gave yourself permission to change, one decision at a time. And if anyone tells you it should be faster, remind yourself that deep work takes deep time. Surface changes are quick and shallow, but the kind of change that rewires your mindset, reshapes your personality, and renews your spirit, that kind of change is built in daily devotion, in quiet resolve, in loving yourself enough to keep going. So decide again, and then again tomorrow. Because every day you choose growth, you're stepping closer to the life that was always meant for you. Speak only what aligns with the person you are becoming. Words are not just sounds, they are seeds. And every time you open your mouth, you plant something. into the world, into the lives of others, and most of all, into your own spirit. Your words are either building the future you long for or reinforcing the past you're trying to leave behind. There's no in-between. That is why you must speak with intention, with clarity, with a deep awareness that your voice is shaping you, one sentence at a time. Too often we speak from habit. We say what we've always said because it's familiar, because it fits the mood, because it's what someone else once told us. We joke about being broken. We claim stress like it's our identity. We call ourselves lazy, unlucky, too late, not enough, as if those labels were ours to wear forever. But every time you repeat that story, you bind yourself a little tighter to it. You breathe life into what you're trying to bury, and your mind, always listening, always learning, begins to believe you. But there comes a moment when you must ask, is what I'm saying leading me forward or holding me back? If you want to grow, you must learn to speak as if you already are, not from a place of pretending, but from a place of purpose. You begin to speak like someone who knows change is coming because they're creating it. You speak about yourself with respect. You speak about your life with possibility. You speak about your future like it belongs to thee, because it does. This is not about ignoring pain or sugarcoating the truth. No, it's about speaking from healing, not from hurt. It's about recognizing that your words carry power and using that power to direct your steps instead of letting your past do the talking. Even in the hardest moments, especially then, you must speak life. You must choose words that nourish the soul you're growing into, because words are energy. They either lift or they lower. They either move you or mute you, and the ones you speak over yourself are the loudest of all. Every time you affirm your worth, you are telling your mind to rise. Every time you declare peace in the middle of the storm, you are reminding your spirit that chaos doesn't get the final say. Every time you say, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm healing, you are stepping into alignment with your future self. That is transformation, not just in action, but in language, in vibration, in the tone and truth of your voice. You cannot speak like a victim and expect to live like a victor. You cannot keep saying you're stuck while trying to move forward. Your mouth must match your mission. Your voice must echo your vision. Even if your world hasn't caught up yet, your words must lead the way. Because transformation starts inside, and your language is a reflection of what you believe is possible for you. So speak carefully, speak boldly, speak kindly, not just to others, but to yourself. Let your words be the bridge between who you've been and who you are becoming. Let them remind you every single day that you are not finished. You are unfolding. Speak only what aligns and watch how everything else begins to follow. The life you want is waiting behind the mindset you refuse to change. It is not far. It is not lost. It is not impossible. It is simply hidden behind a set of beliefs you've held for too long. Beliefs that may have once protected you, but now only limit you. What you think shapes what you do. What you believe becomes the boundary of what you allow yourself to become. So if your life feels stuck, don't just look at your habits. Look at the thoughts that created them. These are all raised on stories. Stories about who we are, who we can be, what we're capable of. Some of these stories are planted deep, passed down like family heirlooms. You hear them enough times, they start to sound like truth. You're not good at that. You'll never be more than this. People like you don't get far. Be realistic. These aren't just words. These are cages. And the most dangerous thing about a cage is when you forget you're inside one. But change comes the moment you start questioning those old beliefs, the moment you stop accepting limitation as identity. Because nothing changes on the outside until it shifts on the inside. You cannot live a life of freedom with a mindset built on fear. You cannot create something new while thinking the same way that built the old. Transformation demands a mental renovation, a clearing out of outdated thoughts, toxic patterns, and small thinking. Sometimes the mindset that needs changing is the quiet one, the voice that says, don't try, you'll fail. Stay small. Don't be seen. You hear it not because it's true, but because at some point you believed it would keep you safe. But playing small is not safety, it's suffocation. The world does not need your silence, it needs your rise. And that rise begins in the mind. You start by noticing your thoughts, by catching the lies as they appear, by asking yourself, would the person I'm becoming believe this? Would they think this way? If the answer is no, then that thought must go. You replace it with truth, with power, with language that lifts instead of limits. It is a daily discipline. It is the quiet work that no one sees, but it's the work that changes everything. And let it be known, changing your mindset does not mean pretending life is easy. It means believing that no matter how hard it gets, you are stronger, that even in uncertainty, there is growth, that failure is feedback, not a full stop. It means choosing thoughts that lead you, not ones that leave you behind. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to believe that answers exist and they are worth pursuing. The life you want is not waiting for permission. It is waiting for alignment. It's waiting for your thoughts to match your desires, your beliefs to match your purpose, your mindset to match the truth of your potential. And when those align, doors open, energy shifts. You begin to see opportunity where there was once only fear. You are not too late. You are not too broken. But you cannot bring old thinking into a new life and expect it to thrive. What once worked may no longer serve you, and that's okay. Growth requires leaving some thoughts behind. Because your next level is not built on your past, it's built on your decision to think differently. So begin now. Challenge the thought. Rewire the belief. Choose the mindset that mirrors the future you desire, because once your mind changes, your life cannot stay the same. Of this entire transformation is not a single act. It is a sacred journey. It is the quiet commitment to rise, the daily decision to let go of what no longer serves you, and the steady courage to believe in who you are becoming, even before the world does. You are not here to merely survive the days, you are here to shape them, to renew your mind with purpose, to speak with intention, to grow with grace, to shift your mindset so powerfully that your entire life begins to bloom from the inside out. You hold the pen now. You get to rewrite the story. You get to choose the words, the beliefs, the energy that will carry you forward. So trust yourself, protect your growth, speak life, feed your purpose, and never forget, everything you need to transform is already within you. Good luck on your journey. Keep rising, keep choosing, and keep becoming. Thank you for walking this path with presence and power. Hello, everyone. There comes a time in every soul's journey when the mirror speaks louder than the world, a time when the silence between heartbeats feels heavier than thunder. When you wake up and realize that the smile you wear is stitched with threads of sorrow, and the laughter you give is an echo bouncing off empty walls. If today is that day for you, then I want you to listen close. Not just with your ears, but with that aching place inside you that has waited so long to be seen, to be held, to be healed. You don't have to live wrapped in a life that feels like a stranger's coat, too tight in the wrong places, worn down by weather you never asked for. You are not built to merely survive the day and collapse in the night. You are not made to fake joy while your spirit starves, and baby, I know it hurts. I know what it feels like to cry in a room full of people who think you're fine. I know what it is to walk with your shoulders back and your heart breaking with every step. But let me tell you something powerful. Just because you have been living in unhappiness does not mean that unhappiness is where you belong. No one was born to stay in the shadows. No one came into this world just to be weary. You have breath in your lungs. You have rhythm in your bones. You are not too far gone to ride. There is a quiet wisdom in pain that most people miss because they are too busy trying to run from it. But pain is not your enemy. It is a messenger, a signal, a sacred whisper from deep within telling you something is not right. When life feels heavy, when your days feel blurred together with tiredness and sorrow, that ache in your chest is not just sadness. It's a summons, a wake-up call, a sign that your soul is trying to speak to you through the language of discomfort. Too often, we learn to silence that voice. We smile when we want to cry. We say we're fine when we're falling apart. And in doing so, we convince ourselves that our pain is permanent, that this gray cloud is our forever sky. But that is not the truth. Pain was never meant to keep you trapped. It was meant to lead you to freedom. The unhappiness you feel right now is not a life sentence. It is a turning point. It is a mirror showing you what is broken so you can begin the work of mending. It is your inner self begging for honesty, for clarity, for release. The more you try to numb it, ignore it, or bury it under distractions, the louder it becomes. And when you finally sit with it, when you stop running and truly feel it, something powerful begins to shift. You start to see that you are not weak for feeling pain. You are human, you are alive, and in your pain there is potential. The potential to break cycles, to unlearn patterns, to take off the mask and finally live as your truest self. But it starts by listening not to the world, not to the noise, but to that still, soft voice within that says, I want more. I deserve more. There will be days when facing your unhappiness feels like walking through fire, when the weight of your past tries to pull you back, when fear whispers that change is too hard, too late, too risky. But remember this, the fire you're walking through is not meant to burn you down. It's meant to burn away what no longer belongs. Your old doubts, your old limits, your old lies. And when the flames pass, you'll still be standing, stronger, clearer, braver. But you don't have to fix everything today. You don't need a master plan. You just need to honor your pain as the beginning, not the end. Let it guide you, let it teach you, let it open doors you've been too afraid to knock on. And as you step through those doors, you'll realize something beautiful, that waking up from an unhappy life doesn't mean escaping it. It means reclaiming it. All it takes is one moment of courage, one breath of truth, one step in the direction of light. You're not stuck. You're stirring. You're not broken. You're becoming. And that feeling in your chest, the one you thought would crush you, is actually the very thing setting you free. Keep walking. Keep listening. Keep rising. There comes a point when you realize that the space you're in no longer fits the person you're becoming. You look around at the life you've built, the habits you repeat, the people you surround yourself with, and you feel the quiet discomfort of misalignment. What once felt like home now feels like a cage. And this is where the real awakening begins. Not when you change everything instantly, but when you dare to admit that something needs to shift. Staying in the same environment that caused your unhappiness will only deepen it. You cannot heal in a place that constantly reminds you of your wounds. You cannot grow in soil that has stopped nourishing you. Whether it's the negativity of others, the weight of old routines, or the atmosphere that keeps you feeling small, you must recognize when your surroundings are part of the reason you feel stuck. This doesn't always mean a drastic move or cutting everything off. Sometimes it starts with changing your daily rhythm, creating small moments of stillness, setting new boundaries, or simply choosing to step away from energy that drains you. The real change begins inside, but it must reflect outside too, because when the outside environment keeps repeating the same old noise, it becomes nearly impossible for your inner peace to find its voice. So many people stay in places that are silently destroying them because familiarity feels safer than the unknown. They stay in friendships that mock their growth. They stay in routines that exhaust them. They stay in spaces where their worth is forgotten and their dreams are dismissed. But there comes a moment when your soul says, no more. No more shrinking, no more pretending, no more choosing comfort over your calling. You deserve to be in spaces that water your roots, not just pluck your petals. Places that allow your laughter to rise without apology. Places that speak truth and light and remind you that you are not too much, too emotional, too ambitious. If your current environment makes you feel small for being who you truly are, it is not the right environment for your healing. Sometimes it is hard to walk away. It hurts to leave behind the familiar, even when it is hurting you. But peace has a price, and the cost is often the comfort you've clung to for too long. Don't be afraid to choose differently. Don't be afraid to step out and rebuild. What you are seeking won't be found in the places that broke you. It will be found on the other side of change. Growth demands a shift. Just like a plant leans toward sunlight, you must lean toward joy, toward truth, toward better. This shift might feel uncertain, even lonely at times, but it's in the leaving that you start finding. It's in the letting go that you begin receiving. You must believe that a better space exists, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually, where you can become all that life intended for you to be. When you step into environments that honor your worth and support your healing, everything begins to change. Your thoughts grow clearer, your energy lifts, your vision returns, and slowly the sadness that once clung to your skin begins to loosen its grip. You are allowed to walk away from what hurts, even if it once felt like home. You are allowed to outgrow what no longer serves your spirit. You are allowed to choose peace, even if it means choosing new paths. And when you do, you'll find that the sunlight was always waiting. It just needed you to move toward it. We spend so much of our lives replaying moments we wish had gone differently. We sit in rooms filled with today, yet our minds are wandering through yesterday, reliving conversations, revisiting regrets, rehearsing pain. It becomes a pattern so familiar that we forget we're doing it. We become loyal to the memory of who we were and what we lost instead of being faithful to the person we are becoming and the life that still waits for us. But no amount of replaying the past will ever change it. It will only steal the energy needed to create something new. The truth is, your story does not have to be a repetition of everything you've already been through. You don't have to carry old sorrow like it's a badge of honor. You don't have to live every day through the filter of what hurt you. Yes, you made mistakes. Yes, people disappointed you. Yes, life turned left when you prayed it would go right. But now is not the time to sit in what was. Now is the time to rise in what can be. The future is not built on memory, it's built on movement. It's shaped by what you do now, not what was done to you then. And when you begin to understand that your next chapter is not bound by your last one, something powerful begins to stir inside of you. You start to see possibility where there was only pain. You start to hear your own voice again beneath the noise of old stories. You start to realize that healing isn't about forgetting, it's about no longer allowing your past to define your worth. So many people stay trapped in an unhappy life, not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack vision. They can't see beyond the familiar pain. They've worn their suffering for so long that joy feels foreign, like something that belongs to someone else. But joy is your birthright. Peace is your inheritance. You are not meant to remain bound to the past. You are meant to rewrite it with the choices you make today. It begins with a shift, a single brave decision to stop giving so much power to what cannot be changed, a deep breath where you stop asking, why did this happen to me, and begin asking, what can I build from here? That's where transformation lives, not in answers, but in action. Not in the past, but in the present. Because the pen is in your hand now, and you are not obligated to keep telling the same sad story. You can write a new one filled with light, with courage, with truth. You may not know what the next chapter looks like. That's okay. Most beginnings come with uncertainty. But if you keep your heart open and your intentions clear, you'll find the steps unfolding beneath your feet. You'll find the strength you forgot you had. You'll begin to create beauty, not because life has been easy, but because you chose to bring beauty out of what was broken. Every day is a blank page. You don't need permission to turn it. You don't need perfect circumstances to begin again. You just need to stop rehearsing the pain and start speaking life into the future. Let your next chapter be different. Not because you erase your past, but because you rose from it with purpose and grace. You are not stuck in your story. You are the storyteller. Keep writing. There comes a moment when you stop waiting for happiness to come from somewhere outside of you. You stop hoping it will arrive with a new relationship, a new job, or a stroke of luck. That moment is when you realize that happiness is not something you find on the road. It is something you decide to carry with you. It is not a prize waiting at the end of the struggle. It is a choice made in the middle of the chaos, in the quiet between disappointments, in the stillness after a storm. It's easy to believe that joy will come when everything finally falls into place, when the pain is gone, when the heart is healed, when the weight is lifted. But life doesn't always offer that kind of perfect timing. Life is messy. Life is complicated. If you keep waiting for happiness to come from the outside, you will spend your life waiting. You will stand at the edge of the ocean, hoping the waves will stop so you can step in. But waves don't stop, and life doesn't pause for your healing. You must step in anyway. The most powerful truth is this: you can choose to be at peace even if the storm hasn't passed. You can choose to believe you are worthy of joy even when the world has tried to convince you otherwise. You can decide that you are done begging life to be softer and start learning to be stronger within it. That's not pretending. That's power. That's ownership of your soul. It begins with the small decisions, the ones that no one sees but you. Choosing to speak kindly to yourself instead of repeating old insults in your head. Choosing to be grateful for one thing, even on a day filled with grief. Choosing to move forward, even if it's just 1 inch. That kind of quiet, steady courage becomes the foundation for a different life, a life where you are no longer a prisoner of circumstance, but a builder of meaning. When you shift from chasing happiness to creating it, everything changes. You stop feeling powerless. You stop giving others the authority to decide how you feel. You stop tying your joy to someone else's actions, someone else's approval, someone else's presence. You become the source. You light your own fire. You make the choice again and again to show up for your life, even when it's hard, even when it's lonely, even when it hurts. You are not a victim of your emotions. You are their leader. You are not at the mercy of your past. You are its survivor. And in that truth lies the freedom you've been searching for, not the absence of pain, but the presence of power, the kind that says, I can rise today even if I cried yesterday. I can choose to breathe deeply, to speak truth, to love myself in pieces, because healing doesn't require perfection. It only asks that you keep choosing to live even in the dark. No one else can make this choice for you. No one else can decide what kind of life you will live. But once you decide that happiness is something you are willing to create, no matter where you are, no matter what you've been through, that's when you begin to truly wake up. not into a life without struggle, but into a life where joy becomes your rebellion, your declaration, your daily decision. Let that be the decision you make today. There is a moment in every person's life when they must take a long, honest look in the mirror and ask, whose life am I living? Because somewhere along the way, without even realizing it, we start wearing names that aren't ours, speaking with voices that don't sound like our own, and carrying burdens we were never meant to bear. We become who we thought we had to be, not who we truly are. And over time, that quiet betrayal begins to show. It shows in the weariness behind your smile. It shows in the ache of your chest when the day ends. It shows in the silence between your thoughts when you wonder, is this all there is? Borrowed identities come from many places. A childhood spent trying to please, a culture that teaches you to shrink, a heartbreak that left you afraid to be soft, a world that rewards masks more than it rewards truth. So you become what people expect. You become strong, so no one sees your sadness. You become agreeable, so no one calls you difficult. You become quiet, so no one sees your fire. And though you may survive this way, you never truly live. To wake up from an unhappy life, you must be willing to unlearn the stories that told you you're not enough, unlearn the roles you were handed and told to play, unlearn the belief that your worth is tied to performance, perfection, or approval. It takes courage to do that, because sometimes we've worn the disguise so long we forget what it feels like to be bare. But underneath all those layers is someone waiting not to be created, but to be revealed. The real you is not lost, just buried under years of trying to belong, buried beneath the noise of the world's expectations. But your soul has never stopped speaking. It has whispered through your discomfort. It has called out through your restlessness. It has waited through your silence. And now it is ready to rise. When you begin to peel back the layers, you may feel raw, you may feel uncertain, but that vulnerability is where truth lives. That is where your power lives. Because the moment you stop pretending, the moment you stop playing small, is the moment you start to breathe again. That's when you feel your own pulse. That's when you begin to hear your own name, not the one others gave you, but the one your spirit has known all along. You don't have to have all the answers. You just need to be willing to ask the right questions. What do I love? What do I fear? What have I been hiding? What have I been longing for? These are not easy questions, but they are necessary ones. And in the asking, you begin to reclaim your life. Don't apologize for rediscovering yourself. Don't apologize for shedding what no longer fits. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are in the process of becoming real, and in a world that often chooses appearance over authenticity, your truth is revolutionary. So walk away from what was never yours to carry. Release the voices that told you to sit down, to stay quiet, to be someone else. And walk toward the light of your own becoming. Because once you return to who you truly are, there is no unhappiness that can hold you. There is no darkness that can keep you. This is how you wake up. Not by changing who you are, but by remembering who you've always been. Sometimes the biggest shift happens not when you change your surroundings, not when people treat you better, not when life finally becomes kinder, but when something clicks in your mind and refuses to go back to sleep. That shift is the beginning of everything. Because it doesn't matter how much you try to rearrange the outside of your life, if the inside of your mind is still carrying the same weight. You can move to a new city, start a new job, meet new people, but if your thoughts are still rooted in fear and doubt and defeat, you'll find yourself back in the same place emotionally. A new life cannot grow from an old mindset. The way you think is the soil for your reality. If your thoughts are full of shame, worry, bitterness, or hopelessness, it's no surprise that everything feels like a struggle. But the beautiful thing is that your mind is not fixed. You're not stuck with the same thoughts forever. You can learn to notice the patterns that pull you down. You can interrupt the stories that tell you you'll never be enough. You can begin to replace the noise of self-doubt with the quiet voice of self-respect. Waking up from an unhappy life is not about waking up into perfection. It's about waking up into awareness. Noticing when your mind starts to spiral. Catching yourself when you begin to rehearse old pain. Being able to pause and ask, is this thought helping me or hurting me? Most people never ask that question. They just keep living the same day, the same pain with different distractions. But you are not most people. You're here, seeking, longing, ready. It all begins with perspective. The lens you choose to see yourself through shapes everything. If you only look at yourself through the lens of your failures, your scars, your disappointments, you will always feel broken. But if you shift that lens just a little and begin to see yourself as someone who has endured, who has learned, who is still trying, then everything begins to soften. The world begins to look a little different when your inner world starts to heal. This doesn't mean you'll always feel strong. It doesn't mean you won't have days when the fog returns. But the difference is now you know you have a choice. You can stop feeding the thoughts that starve your soul. You can stop entertaining the fears that keep you paralyzed. You can start planting new seeds, ones rooted in truth, in hope, in self-compassion. Talk to yourself like you would someone you love. Speak gently even when you fall. Remind yourself daily that growth is not linear, and healing does not mean never hurting again. It means learning how to hold yourself through the hurt without falling apart. It means choosing peace even when the past tries to drag you back into patterns you've outgrown. You are not weak for having struggled. You are strong for still standing. You are not failing because you haven't figured everything out. You are blooming in your own time. Every thought you shift, every belief you challenge, every time you choose love over fear, that is you rebuilding your life from the inside out. This is what it means to wake up, to stop waiting for the world to change and start changing the way you see yourself. When your mind believes in your worth, the world starts to reflect it back to you. So start there. Believe that something better is possible, not out there, but right here inside of you. And so, if you've listened with your heart open and your spirit present, you already know. Waking up from an unhappy life is not about running from your past or pretending the pain never existed. It's about honoring what you've been through, then deciding not to live there anymore. It's about listening to the quiet voice within, stepping out of environments that dim your light, letting go of stories that no longer serve you, choosing joy as an act of courage, peeling away borrowed identities, and renewing your mind, one thought at a time. This journey isn't a straight line. Some days you will rise strong, other days you will crawl, but every step forward is a step toward yourself, toward truth, peace, and the life you were always meant to live. Don't be afraid to start over. Don't be afraid to choose better. You are more capable than you've ever been told and more worthy than you've ever believed. Good luck on your journey of rising. Keep walking, keep healing, keep becoming. Thank you for listening, and may you wake up every day a little more alive than the day before. Ladies and gentlemen, there was a time when my own voice was a stranger to me. I would open my mouth and fear would sit heavy on my tongue like a stone. My heart would hammer so loudly I was sure the whole world could hear it. My knees would shake, my palms would sweat, and the words Oh, the words would run and hide like children playing a game of chase. Maybe you know that feeling. Maybe you've been there, standing in front of a crowd, feeling small, feeling unworthy, feeling like your voice doesn't belong. But let me tell you something, your voice is a gift, and no gift should stay wrapped up forever. Fear is a mighty thing, but it is not mightier than you. It whispers that you are not enough. But I have come to tell you, you are more than enough. You are built from courage. You are crafted from stories untold and wisdom unshaken. And when you step up to speak, you are not alone. You carry the voices of your ancestors, the dreams of those who came before you, and the hopes of those who will come after you. There was a time when I believed fear was a permanent thing, something that set up camp inside me and refused to leave. It sat on my chest, heavy and unshaken, whispering all the ways I might fail. It made my hands tremble, my voice small, my thoughts scattered like autumn leaves in a storm. And for too long, I let it stay. I let it tell me who I was and what I could not do. Maybe you have felt that same weight, that same tightness in your throat when you step up to speak. Maybe you've stood in front of a room full of faces, each one waiting for your words, and suddenly your mind felt like an empty page. Maybe your knees knocked together, and your breath came too fast, and you thought to yourself, I can't do this. But let me tell you something, fear is not your master. It is not a chain, and it is certainly not a truth teller. Fear is just a visitor knocking on the door, hoping you'll let it in. But it does not have to live inside you. It does not have to own you. The difference between those who speak and those who stay silent is not the absence of fear. It is the understanding that fear is temporary. It comes, it lingers, it tests you, but it does not have to stay. It does not have to drive the car. It does not have to hold the microphone. When you step up to speak, fear might come. It might tap on your shoulder, whisper in your ear, make your heart beat a little faster. But you are bigger than that fear. You have stories to tell, wisdom to share, truths to speak. You are not just a collection of nerves and doubts. You are a voice that matters. You see, fear wants you to believe that you are alone in your trembling. But let me tell you a secret. Every great speaker you admire, every voice that has ever commanded a room has felt fear. They have stood where you stand. They have wrestled with doubt, swallowed their nerves, and spoken anyway. The trick is not to make fear disappear. The trick is to see it for what it is. Just a moment, just a flicker, just a shadow that does not define the light inside you. You acknowledge it, you nod at it, and then you step forward anyway. Because when you speak, something happens. You begin to realize that your words are stronger than your fear. With every sentence, the trembling fades. With every moment you claim your space, fear shrinks into the background. And before you know it, you are not speaking with hesitation, you are speaking with power. You do not need to wait for fear to leave before you begin. You only need to understand that fear is a visitor, not a resident. Let it come, let it go, but do not let it keep you silent, because your voice was never meant to stay quiet. It was meant to rise. There is something mighty about a voice, not just any voice, your voice, the one that has carried you through laughter and pain, through moments of doubt and moments of triumph, the one that has whispered truths in the dark and sung joy into the morning, the one that belongs to no one else but you. But fear tries to tell you otherwise. Fear tries to shrink you, make you believe that your voice is not enough, not important, not worthy of being heard. It tries to convince you that your words will stumble, that your thoughts will not be clear, that the world is not waiting to listen. And if you listen too long, you start to believe it. You start to let your voice fade into the background, hidden behind hesitation and second guessing. But hear me now. Your voice is not a mistake. It is not an accident. It is a gift crafted from every experience you have lived, every lesson you have learned, every heartbeat that has carried you forward. Your voice carries history, power, and purpose. When you speak, you're not speaking alone. You're carrying the voices of those who came before you, the wisdom of ancestors who once had to fight to be heard, the strength of generations who have dreamed and struggled and risen. When you open your mouth to speak, you are not just saying words, you are shaping moments, shaping minds, shaping the very air around you. And that is no small thing. That is power, that is presence, that is purpose in motion. The fear of speaking is not just about forgetting words or making mistakes. It is deeper than that. It is the fear of taking up space, of declaring that what you have to say matters. But let me tell you something, it does matter. Your voice matters. Your words matter. And the moment you decide to claim them, to stand tall and let them be heard, the world shifts just a little. You may feel nervous, you may shake, you may stumble, but that does not make your voice any less powerful. Power is not in perfection, it is in presence. It is in standing there, heart racing and hands trembling and speaking anyway. It is in knowing that even if your voice wavers, your message remains strong. Think of all the voices that have moved you, inspired you, stirred something deep inside you. They were not always fearless, but they were always brave. They spoke because something in them knew that silence was not an option. And something in you knows that too. So the next time fear tells you to shrink, to stay quiet, to let someone else take the stage, remind yourself that your voice is a force. It is history in motion, power taking shape, purpose stepping forward. You do not need to ask permission to be heard. You already belong. You already matter, and the world is waiting to listen. There is a moment right before you speak when something stirs inside you. Your heart starts to race, your hands feel unsteady, your breath comes just a little faster. It feels like fear, like something trying to pull you back, hold you down, keep you quiet. But what if I told you that feeling wasn't fear at all? What if I told you that what you're feeling is energy, pure, raw, untapped energy, waiting for you to use it? Too often we mistake excitement for fear. We feel that rush in our chest, that trembling in our limbs, and we assume something is wrong, but nothing is wrong. Your body is waking up, preparing itself, giving you everything you need to rise to the moment. That rush of energy, that is power. That is life moving through you, making sure you are ready. It is not a warning. It is an invitation. Think about it. When something truly matters to you, don't you feel it in your body first? When you are about to step into something important, don't your senses sharpen, your awareness grow? That energy is not your enemy. It is your fuel. It is proof that you care, that what you are about to say carries weight, that your presence in this moment is real. Great speakers don't try to get rid of that energy. They use it. They let it lift them, push them forward, sharpen their focus. They know that a steady heartbeat is not what moves an audience. It is passion. It is feeling. It is the spark that makes words come alive. So instead of fighting the energy, embrace it. Instead of calling it fear, call it readiness. Let it remind you that you are alive, that you are present, that you are stepping into something bigger than yourself. Take a deep breath, plant your feet firmly on the ground, and feel that energy working for you, not against you. You do not need to be calm to be powerful. You do not need to be still to be steady. You only need to trust that the energy inside you is not there to hold you back. It is there to lift you higher. Let it move through you. Let it guide your words. Let it remind you that you are ready, because you are. There is something about stepping onto a stage, standing in front of a room full of eyes, opening your mouth to speak and feeling the weight of expectation settle on your shoulders. It is in that moment that doubt creeps in, whispering, "Are you ready? Do you know what to say? Will they listen?" And if you are unprepared, those whispers turn into roars. But preparation is your shield. It is what stands between you and fear, between you and hesitation. It is a thing that catches you when your mind goes blank, when nerves try to shake you, when self-doubt knocks on the door. Because when you have prepared, truly prepared, you do not need to scramble for the right words. They are already within you, waiting to be spoken. There is a difference between hoping you will do well and knowing you will do well. That difference is practice. Hope is fragile, easily shattered by nerves, by a forgotten sentence, by the weight of the moment. But practice builds a foundation that cannot be shaken. It takes away the guesswork. It teaches your body, your voice, your mind what to do, even when fear tries to take the lead. When you prepare, you make friends with your own words. You learn the rhythm of what you are saying, the meaning behind it, the pauses that give power to your message. You stand in front of a mirror, in front of a friend, in front of an empty room, and you say the words again and again until they feel like home. You practice until speaking feels less like performing and more like breathing. But do not mistake preparation for perfection. You do not need to memorize every word like a script. You do not need to fear every mistake, every pause, every unexpected moment. Preparation is not about making everything flawless. It is about making you ready to adjust, ready to adapt, ready to trust that even if something does not go as planned, you will find your way forward. A warrior does not step onto the battlefield without a sword. A sailor does not head into the storm without knowing how to steer the ship. And a speaker does not step onto the stage without preparing to own their words, their space, their voice. So you prepare, you practice, you stand in front of a mirror and let yourself see the speaker you are becoming. You let your voice grow familiar with the words until they feel like second nature. And when the moment comes, when you step up to speak, you do not have to wonder if you are ready. You will know. Because preparation is your shield and practice is your sword. And with them, you do not face fear unarmed. You face it with the power of someone who is ready to be heard. There is something about standing in front of people, feeling their eyes on you, knowing they are waiting for you to speak. In that moment, the mind races to find the perfect words, the perfect tone, the perfect way to deliver each thought without flaw. The heart beats faster, not just from nerves, but from the weight of wanting to get everything right. But let me tell you something. Perfection is not the goal, it never was. We have been taught to believe that great speakers never stumble, never pause too long, never search for a word. We imagine that confidence is smooth, effortless, untouched by nerves. And so we prepare, we rehearse, we polish every word, hoping that if we are perfect, we will be fearless. But perfection is a lie. It is a heavy, impossible burden. And the truth, the real, powerful, freeing truth is that people do not connect with perfection. They connect with presence. They connect with the realness in your voice, the honesty in your words, the way you make them feel seen, understood, inspired. Think about the speakers who have moved you, the voices that have stayed with you long after they stopped speaking. Was it because they were flawless, or was it because they were real? Was it because they never hesitated, or was it because their words felt honest? People do not remember if your voice shakes or if you pause too long. They remember how you made them feel. They remember the moment they nodded because something you said spoke directly to them. They remember the energy you brought, the passion behind your words. Fear of speaking comes from fear of making mistakes. But the best speakers do not avoid mistakes, they embrace them. They know that if they forget a word, they can find another. If they stumble, they can keep moving. If their voice trembles, it only means they are speaking from the heart. Mistakes do not ruin a speech, they make it human. Connection is what matters. When you speak, you are not just reciting words. You are offering something of yourself. And people do not come to hear a perfect speech. They come to hear you. They come to feel something, to learn something, to leave with more than they had when they arrived. So let go of perfection. Let go of the need to say everything just right. Focus instead on being present, on speaking from a place of truth, on reaching the people in front of you with words that matter. Speak with honesty, speak with conviction, speak with the knowledge that your message is more powerful than any mistake you might make. Because the goal is never to be perfect. The goal is to be heard. There is a myth people believe, a story they tell themselves when they stand before a crowd and feel their hands shake, their voice waver, their breath catch in their chests. They believe that great speakers are born fearless, that confidence is something given to a chosen few, that those who command a room with ease have always known how to do so, but that is not the truth. The truth is that every great speaker you have ever admired has felt fear, their knees have trembled, their words have tangled, their doubts have whispered in their ears, just like yours do now. The difference is not in whether or not they felt fear. It is in what they chose to do with it. They spoke anyway. They stood in the fear, walked through it, and kept going until one day the fear did not walk ahead of them anymore. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that fear will not control you. It is understanding that fear may ride with you, but it does not get to steer. It does not get to turn you around. It does not get to silence you. When you stand before an audience, your mind may race with all the things that could go wrong. You may think about what you might forget, about how they might judge you, about whether your words will come out right. But what if instead of focusing on what could go wrong, you focused on what could go right? What if you reminded yourself that your message is bigger than your fear, that someone in that room needs to hear exactly what you have to say? The only way to become a strong speaker, there is no shortcut. There is no secret trick to erase the fear before you begin. The only way forward is through. And with each time you stand, with each word you say, with each moment you claim your space, fear loses its grip. There is power in showing up despite the nerves. There is power in speaking even when your voice is unsteady. There is power in proving to yourself over and over again that you are not bound by fear. Because every time you do, you become stronger. Every time you push through, you teach yourself that fear does not own you. And one day, without even realizing it, you will step up to speak and notice something different. Your hands will not shake the way they used to. Your voice will not catch the way it did before. The fear that once seemed so loud will be nothing more than a whisper in the background, because you will have done what every great speaker before you has done. You will have spoken anyway. People wait for confidence like it is something that will one day appear, fully formed, knocking at their door. They say, "I'll speak when I feel ready. I'll step forward when I have no fear. I'll use my voice when I know for certain that I won't fail." But confidence does not come in the waiting. It does not rise from silence. It is built in the doing. The first time you step up to speak, your hands may shake. Your voice may tremble. Your thoughts may run ahead of you faster than your mouth can catch them. And in that moment, you may think, "I am not ready for this. I was never meant for this." But hear me now. This moment is not proof that you are incapable. It is proof that you are growing. No one begins as a master. No one steps onto a stage for the first time and commands a room with ease. Even those who seem effortless have walked through the fire of uncertainty, of self-doubt, of trial and error. They did not wait for confidence to come to them. They built it with every speech, every stumble, every lesson learned along the way. You do not gain confidence by avoiding the thing that scares you. You gain it by doing it over and over again until what once felt impossible becomes second nature. Every time you speak, even with fear in your chest, you are teaching yourself something valuable, that you can survive it, that you can push through, that you are capable of more than you believed. The world is full of people who never step forward because they are waiting to feel ready. They are waiting for the nerves to disappear, for the fear to fade, for the moment where everything feels easy. But that moment never comes on its own. It is not given, it is earned. Think of confidence like a muscle. You do not wake up one morning with strength you have never built. You gain it through repetition, through effort, through persistence. And just like a muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it gets. So do not wait for confidence to come knocking. Do not sit in silence, hoping that one day you will magically feel brave enough. Start where you are. Speak when you are afraid. Let your voice shake if it must, but use it anyway, because confidence is not a gift. It is a result. And it comes not in the waiting, but in the doing. And so here you stand, not in the shadow of fear, but in the light of your own strength. You have walked through doubt, through hesitation, through the trembling hands and racing heart, and yet you are still here, still speaking, still rising, still proving again and again that fear does not define you. Your courage does. Your voice is not something to be hidden, not something to be silenced by self-doubt or the illusion of perfection. It is meant to be heard. It is meant to carry your truth, your passion, your power. And every time you choose to speak, every time you push past the fear, you are not just learning to be a better speaker. You are learning to take up space in this world with confidence and purpose. So take that stage, stand in your power, speak with conviction, and remember the world does not need you to be perfect. It just needs you to be present. Good luck on your journey ahead. Believe in yourself, trust in your voice, and know that every time you speak, you grow. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, sisters and brothers, beloved souls in the room, let me begin by asking you something that goes deeper than the skin, deeper than the mind. Have you ever sat in silence, not because the world asked you to, but because your heart whispered for peace? Have you ever looked in the mirror and saw not the face you wear every day, but the child within who is still waiting to be heard, to be held, to be healed? We live in a world that teaches us how to survive, but forgets to teach us how to feel. A world that tells us to be strong, but does not say it is all right to be soft. So we walk with broken hearts and iron shoes, trying to smile while we carry storms in our chest. But I am here to tell you, it is not only all right to feel, it is divine. You are not weak for needing rest. You are not. Your emotions are valid. Honor them without apology. That truth is where the healing begins, where strength grows not in the muscles or the voice, but in the heart that has dared to feel. We live in a world that teaches us to hide our tears, to straighten our backs before we have soothed our souls, to speak boldly while silencing our own pain. But there is no glory in pretending to be unbreakable. There is power in honesty and looking within and saying, I feel this, and that is enough to matter. Too many times we shrink our emotions to fit the expectations of others. We are told not to be too sensitive, too loud, too soft, too much. But your feelings are not too much. They are exactly what they need to be. They are not flaws in your design. They are the language of your inner world trying to speak. And that voice, that beautiful, soft, or fierce sound from within, deserves to be heard. Do not hush yourself just because the world prefers your silence. Do not dress your truth in polite smiles. You have every right to feel deeply. You have every right to be whole. The storm inside you is not chaos. It is a call to slow down, a call to listen, a call to make space for what you've been carrying for too long. You don't need permission to feel exhausted. You don't need approval to feel brokenhearted. You don't need validation to cry. You simply need to know that your emotions are the compass of your experience, not the enemy. They guide you through the dark and the light alike. When you deny your emotions, you deny parts of yourself. You begin to live in pieces, wearing the mask of who you think you should be while hiding the truth of who you are. But healing only begins when you are brave enough to bring all parts of yourself to the table. It is our joy, your grief, your fears, your laughter, your confusion, your love. All of it belongs, and all of it matters. You are not broken because you feel. You are awake, you are alive. It is a holy thing to sit with your sorrow and not rush it out the door. It is sacred to cradle your own heart when no one else understands. This is not weakness. This is strength wrapped in tenderness. And tenderness is what the world needs more of. You do not have to toughen yourself to be taken seriously. Your gentleness does not make you small, it makes you wise. And in this journey of emotional health, you must remind yourself that every feeling is passing through, not setting up camp forever. Emotions are visitors. Some will shake you, some will soothe you, some will test you, and all of them are trying to teach you something. You must lean into that learning. You must stop apologizing for crying. Stop saying sorry for needing space. Stop explaining your sadness as if it were a flaw. You owe no one a performance of perfection. True emotional health is not about always feeling good. It is about feeling truthfully. Being well does not mean never aching. It means allowing the ache to come and go like a tide without drowning in it or denying its presence. You are allowed to feel joy and sadness in the same breath. You are allowed to be grateful and still be grieving. These things are not contradictions, they are the complexity of being human. So let your emotions rise without shame. Let them pass through like seasons, each with their own reason. Hold them gently, listen to them, and then let them move. What stays is the wisdom they leave behind. What stays is your self-respect for not abandoning yourself when things got hard. That is emotional care. That is self-love in action. And remember this, when you honor your emotions without apology, you give others permission to do the same. You create space for realness, for connection, for healing that reaches beyond you. You become a light not because you never flicker, but because you know how to tend to your own flame. Take care of that light. It belongs to you. Rest is not weakness, it is restoration. In a world that praises the hustle, that lifts up those who keep going no matter what it costs them, choosing to pause is often seen as defeat. But let me tell you the truth in no uncertain terms. Rest is an act of courage. Rest says I matter even when I am still. Rest says I am enough even when I am not producing, pleasing, or proving. You are not a machine. You were never meant to be in constant motion. You were made with breath in your lungs and rhythm in your soul. And every part of nature, from the sun that sets to the tide that retreats, teaches us this. There is a time for doing and there is a time for being. When you ignore the call to rest, you do not become stronger. You become separated from yourself. And nothing good grows from that place of disconnect. It is okay to get tired. It is okay to stop. The world will not fall apart if you step away for a moment to care for yourself. The sky will not lose its blue. The trees will still stand and life will carry on. But your soul, your beautiful, tired suit will begin to bloom again when you give it the grace of stillness. Rest is not a reward for burning out. It is a necessity for continuing at all. You do not have to earn your right to rest. It is not selfish to sit down. It is not lazy to breathe. It is not unworthy to pull away from the noise and come back to yourself. We are told to keep going, to smile through the exhaustion, to wear our busyness like a badge. But that is not living. That is surviving. And emotional health is not built on survival alone. It is built on softness, on space, on the sacred pause that lets you remember who you are beneath all the doing. So take your rest, take it boldly, take it before the breaking point, take it without apology. Let yourself sleep when your body asks. Let yourself be quiet when your heart grows loud. Let yourself slow down when your spirit becomes weary. There is wisdom in your weariness. Listen to it, honor it. It is not a flaw in your design. It is a signal. It is your soul asking for room to breathe. And understand, this rest is not the opposite of ambition. It is the fuel for it. You are more creative when you are rested. You are more loving, more patient, more clear, more alive when you are cared for. No one thrives on emptiness. Even the strongest hearts cannot pour from a dry well. Fill your well. Without guilt, without shame. You have nothing to prove. You are allowed to stop. There will be days when the world keeps pulling at you, asking for more than you have left to give. On those days, draw the line. Say, not today. Say, I choose me. Because the truth is, no one else can give you your rest. No one else can put boundaries around your energy that is yours to do. And it is not just an act of love for yourself. It is an act of love for those around you. A rested soul shows up with more presence, more clarity, more peace. Let your rest be holy. Let it be deep. Let it be regular, not rare. And do not wait until you are falling apart to give yourself what you need. You deserve to feel whole now, not someday, not after the work is done. Now, this moment is enough. You are enough. And if the world tells you to keep pushing, you tell the world, I am not here to burn out for your applause. I am here to live well. Because rest is not quitting. Rest is remembering. Rest is returning. Rest is choosing to be gentle with the soul that has carried you through every storm. So rest without fear. Rest without guilt. Rest like your life depends on it, because it does. According to overall key points, and add only necessary ending line, speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you deeply love. Not with judgment, not with scorn, not with sharpness or shame, but with patience, with care, with gentleness that wraps around the spirit like a warm coat on a cold morning. We are often taught to give kindness to others while denying it to ourselves. We lift others up with soft words and nurturing tones. Yet when we stumble, we speak in harsh commands and silent punishment. That is not love. That is not healing. And it is not the way we are meant to live. Emotional health begins where self-compassion lives. It begins when you realize that the way you talk to yourself shapes everything. How you rise, how you fall, how you keep going. You cannot build strength on cruelty. You cannot grow peace in a mind that tears itself down. When you catch yourself saying, I should have done better, I'm not enough, I always mess things up, pause. Pause and ask yourself, would I say this to a child who is learning? Would I say this to someone I adore? Chances are you would not. You would hold their hand. You would remind them of all the ways they are trying, of all the moments they have overcome, of how even when they are not perfect, they are still worthy. That same grace belongs to you. It is not something you must earn after proving yourself. It is something you must choose, especially in the moments when you feel unworthy, because that is when you need it most. We are not meant to live at war with ourselves. We are not meant to rise each day and immediately rehearse our flaws. We are not meant to chase perfection in our thoughts and punish ourselves when we fall short. Emotional health means turning inward with tenderness. It means becoming your own safe place. The world outside may not always be gentle, but you can be. You can learn to soften your inner voice, to speak with words that heal instead of harm. Speak to yourself with honesty, yes, but also with love. Say, I made a mistake, not I am a failure. Say, I feel lost today, not I am weak. Say, I am growing, even when you feel stuck. The language you choose becomes the soil where your peace either grows or withers. Do not plant seeds of shame and expect blossoms of self-worth. Water your thoughts with care. Tend to your spirit like it matters, because it does, and do not rush the process. Loving yourself in this way is not a switch you flip, it is a practice. It is a quiet, daily decision to treat yourself like someone who matters, even when your reflection feels unfamiliar, even when your heart feels heavy. Speak to yourself with the same hope you offer to others. Tell yourself that healing is happening, even when it feels invisible. Tell yourself that your value is not measured by your productivity, your mistakes, or your past. Tell yourself that you are doing the best you can, and that is more than enough. Let the words you speak in silence be full of mercy. Let them wrap around your tired moments like a lullaby. You will not always get it right. You will not always feel strong. But in those fragile places, your words have the power to either break you further or build you gently. Choose the words that build. And when the inner critic rises, as it sometimes will, meet it with a voice that says, not today. Today I choose kindness. Today I choose peace. That choice is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is strength. It is the beginning of freedom from the lies you've told yourself for too long. So speak softly, speak truly. Speak with the same care you offer to a hurting friend. Your soul hears every word, and it is listening for love. Letting go is a form of strength, not surrender. So many of us hold on to what no longer serves us. Old pain, tired stories, worn out expectations, relationships that drain more than they give. We carry them not because they still fit who we are, but because they once did. We grip them tightly, as if our worth is tied to how long we can endure what hurts us. But true strength is not about holding on with bleeding hands. It is about opening those hands and saying, I choose peace now. I choose freedom. Emotional health is not built on clinging to the past or forcing ourselves to keep what feels familiar just to avoid the unknown. It is built on trust. Trust in the process. Trust in your growth. Trust that what is meant for you will not require you to shrink yourself in order to keep it. There is no weakness in walking away from something that no longer feeds your spirit. There is only wisdom, only courage. Sometimes the heaviest burdens we carry are not what others have done to us, but what we continue to carry inside because we don't believe we are allowed to release it. The grudge, the guilt, the need to be right, the fear of being alone. But none of these are permanent fixtures in your soul. They are weights. And you are allowed to put them down. You are allowed to say, this no longer belongs to me. Letting go is not forgetting. It is not pretending it didn't matter. It is not erasing the lesson. Letting go means choosing not to let your story stop you. It means setting yourself free from the tight grip of what ifs and could have beens. It means understanding that some things were beautiful and still not meant to stay. Some people were good to you and still not meant to go all the way with you. That does not mean you failed. That does not mean your love was wasted. It means the chapter has ended and the page must turn. We are so often afraid of empty space. We think that if we let something go, we must replace it immediately. But emotional healing needs room. It needs space to stretch, to breathe, to welcome in the new. Holding on clutters that space with noise, with echoes, with things that belong to a version of you that no longer exists. You cannot grow forward while chained to what kept you still. And it's not just people or events we hold on to. Sometimes we hold on to who we thought we would be, to timelines that didn't unfold, to expectations that were never ours to carry. Letting go of those dreams does not mean you are lost. It means you are making room for something real, something honest, something that fits who you are now, not who you once imagined yourself to be. It takes more strength to release than to resist, to stand in your truth and say, this chapter is closed. I don't need to reread it to prove that I learned something. You learned, you lived, you loved, and now it is time to move in the direction of your peace. You are not broken for needing closure. You are not weak for needing distance. You are not heartless for choosing yourself. Letting go is not abandonment of others. It is the reunion with yourself. It is the act of returning to what is real and whole within you. And sometimes, in the quiet after release, you will find your truest strength, the kind that does not roar but hums softly. I'm all right. I made it. I am still here. Speak to yourself kindly through the process. It is not always quick. It is not always clean. Some things take time to loosen their hold, but every breath you take in freedom is a step toward healing. And the day will come when you will look back with gentleness, not pain, with clarity, not regret. You will see that letting go was not the end of your story. It was the beginning of becoming. So give yourself permission to release what no longer nurtures your soul. You do not have to carry everything. You are allowed to be free, according to overall key points, and add only necessary ending line. Surround your soul with people who feel like sunlight. There is a kind of peace that settles in your chest when you're near someone who sees you not as a project to be fixed or a burden to be carried, but simply as someone worthy of love, just as you are. The kind of people who don't demand that you dim your light to make theirs shine brighter. The ones who speak your name like a blessing, not a battle. That is what your spirit needs. That is what your emotional health longs for. Not crowds, not noise, not constant affirmation, but genuine connection. Too often we stay in rooms where our presence is tolerated but not celebrated. We stay at tables where the conversation drains us, where our dreams are belittled, where our softness is mistaken for weakness. And then we wonder why we feel so tired, so unseen, so far from ourselves. But the truth is, who you allow around you matters. Energy is contagious. It fills the air between words, rides quietly in the tone of a message, lives in the silence when someone chooses not to show up for you. Emotional well-being is deeply tied to the company you keep. It's not about building a wall around your heart. It's about building a garden, one where only those who water your spirit are allowed to stay. Those who see your vulnerability not as something to exploit, but something to respect. The people who are there when you shine and when you stumble, not only when it benefits them. These are your sunlight people. They don't try to change your weather, they stand beside you in it. And their presence reminds you of who you are when the world tries to make you forget. We all need someone who tells us, not just with words, but with consistency, I'm here, I see you, you're not alone. Those are the kinds of relationships that breathe life into your emotional world. Because you cannot heal in spaces that keep wounding you. You cannot thrive in environments where your spirit is in constant defense mode. You were not made to be around people who only love the easy parts of you. You need those who can sit with your silence and not get uncomfortable. Those who do not shrink when you speak your truth. And you must also become that person to yourself and to others. When you start showing up with warmth, you begin to attract warmth. When you release what doesn't feel safe, when you stop chasing those who cannot see your value, you make room for something better. You make room for peace, and peace always knows your name. Let go of the belief that loyalty means staying in unhealthy spaces. Let go of the guilt that comes from choosing yourself. You are not required to keep people in your life who consistently dim your joy. You are allowed to choose differently. You are allowed to protect your energy. Your soul deserves to rest in places that feel like home, not battlefields. And remember this, sometimes we don't even know how heavy someone's energy was until we release it. The moment they leave, the light returns. The laughter sounds fuller. The silence feels safe again. That is not a coincidence. That is your spirit realigning itself with peace. Trust that. Trust the quiet pull toward better company. You don't have to explain your peace to anyone. Your emotional health will bloom when you are surrounded by those who reflect your light back to you, who speak life into your dreams instead of poking holes in them, people who celebrate your joy without envy, who hold your hand when grief knocks at your door, who remind you that you don't have to go through anything alone. That kind of love is healing. That kind of presence is medicine. So choose wisely. Love deeply, yes, but not blindly. Protect your peace like it is sacred, because it is. Let your soul be warmed by real light and walk away from the shadows that no longer feed you. You deserve a circle that feels like sunlight. Your feelings are not foolish. They are not too much. They are not a problem that needs fixing. They are sacred. They are signals. They are part of the landscape of your being, and to honor them is to honor the truth of who you are. Emotional health does not come from ignoring what you feel. It does not come from locking your heart away behind strong walls and silent smiles. It comes from allowing your feelings to move, to breathe, to speak without shame and without apology. We've been told that being emotional is a sign of weakness, that tears are a nuisance, that expressing our pain makes us fragile. So we stuff our feelings deep down where no one can see them, and we wear masks that hide our tired eyes. We laugh when we want to cry. We keep quiet when we long to scream. But what we don't realize is that every unspoken feeling doesn't disappear, it stays. It settles in the body. It whispers in the night. It weighs us down until we no longer know what's real and what's buried. But feelings were never meant to be buried. They were meant to be felt fully, gently, honestly. Whether it is sorrow or anger, grief or joy, fear or hope, each one carries a message. Each one is asking to be acknowledged. When you deny your emotions, you deny a piece of your humanity. You begin to live in fragments, never whole. And no soul can thrive in pieces. Let yourself feel. Let yourself cry when the pain swells. Let yourself be angry when boundaries are crossed. Let yourself rejoice fully when joy dances into the room. Let yourself feel all of it, not just the beautiful parts, but the messy, aching, complex parts too. You don't have to justify your feelings. You don't need permission. They are yours and they are valid. And in those moments when the feelings feel too big, when they threaten to overflow, remember this: feeling deeply is not something to fear, it is something to befriend. Your depth is not a flaw, it is your power. You can sit with your sorrow without drowning in it. You can face your fears without being consumed by them. Your emotions are visitors. They do not own you, but they do speak truths you must not ignore. It's okay to take time to understand what you're feeling, to name it, to say, I am grieving, or I feel lost today, or I'm tired and I don't know why. That honesty is not weakness, it is clarity. It is healing. And the more you make space for your feelings, the less they have to fight to be heard. You begin to live more freely, more lightly. You no longer carry the burden of pretending. Let your heart be a safe place for your own emotion. Don't rush to fix everything. Sometimes sitting with a feeling and giving it room to breathe is all the medicine you need. Sometimes you just need to say to yourself, this hurts, and that's okay. I'm allowed to feel this. There is no healing in suppression. Healing comes from compassion, from presence, from being real with yourself in a world that so often demands you fake it. And when you honor your own emotions, something shifts. You begin to honor the emotions of others too. You become softer with their pain, more patient with their silence, more understanding of their fears. That is what emotional health looks like. It is not perfection, but connection, not avoidance, but awareness. You start creating space where people can show up as their whole selves because you've learned to do it first with yourself. There is nothing wrong with feeling deeply. There is nothing weak about a heart that still feels in a world that often tries to numb you. It is a gift to feel. It means you are alive. It means you are still open. It means you are still trying, and that, above all else, is a sign of incredible strength. So allow yourself the fullness of your emotions. They are not your enemy. They are part of your becoming. Let every feeling pass through like a wave, some soft, some crashing, but let none of them be shamed into silence. You are not meant to run on empty. Rest is not laziness. Stillness is not a waste. In a world that glorifies constant motion and calls exhaustion a badge of honor, it takes courage to pause, to be still, to say, I need a moment. Your emotional health depends on it. Your peace depends on it. You cannot keep pouring from a soul that's been forgotten. You cannot keep giving what you no longer have. There is a rhythm to healing, a quiet tempo that does not rush. And when you move too fast, when you try to outpace your pain or ignore your own needs, your spirit begins to whisper, slow down. If you do not listen, it will begin to shout. That heaviness in your chest, that ache behind your eyes, that sudden weariness that no sleep can fix, those are not just signs of being tired. They are signs that your soul is longing for your attention. Emotional health is not just about how well you cope during storms, but how gently you treat yourself after they pass. How often you sit in silence and breathe, how willing you are to let go of the pressure to always be okay. There is wisdom in rest. There's a sacred power in knowing when to stop, to say, today, I will not strive. Today, I will just be. But the world will try to convince you otherwise. It will tell you to keep moving, keep producing, keep pretending. You will be praised for your resilience, even as your heart breaks in quiet corners. You will be admired for your strength, even when your spirit is unraveling. That is why you must create your own definition of strength, one that includes softness, stillness, surrender. One that honors the truth that rest is a holy act of self-respect. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to reach some finish line before you are allowed to stop. You are allowed to rest simply because you are human, because you are feeling, because you are living in a body that holds so much. Rest is how you come back to yourself, how you gather the scattered pieces, how you remember that you are not a machine. You are a soul with tender edges and breaking points. Let yourself pause. Let yourself sit with no agenda. Let yourself listen to the sound of your breath. And remember that being alive is not the same as being busy. You were not created to be constantly overwhelmed. You were not born to burn out. You were made to move through life with intention, with grace, with care. And sometimes the most intentional thing you can do is stop. In your rest, you will begin to hear what you've been too tired to feel. The grief you buried beneath distraction, the joy that's been waiting to return, the hope that still lives under the weight. These things rise in stillness. They bloom when you make space for them. And rest creates that space. It is not something you must explain or apologize for. It is something you must protect. Even the earth rests. Even the moon has phases. Even the ocean pulls back before it gathers enough strength to surge forward again. You too must retreat. You too must refill. There is no shame in it. There is only truth. And when you honor that truth, you begin to walk in alignment with your own nature. You begin to heal not just your body, but your mind, your heart, your soul. Let the world keep spinning. Let the noise pass by. You do not need to chase it. You do not need to catch up. You need only to come home to yourself, to rest in the quiet that holds you, to say, I am enough, even now, especially now. Your worth is not measured by your productivity. Your value is not tied to your performance. You matter just because you are here. So breathe, sit, be. Give your soul the kindness it's been waiting for. Let yourself rest, not as a reward, but as a right. So if you take only one thing from all of this, let it be this. Your emotional well-being is not a luxury. It is your foundation. You are not here just to survive, just to please, just to endure. You are here to feel fully, to love deeply, to rest often, and to grow without shame. Choose your peace over pressure, your truth over noise, your healing over hustle. You deserve the kind of life that doesn't just look good on the outside, but feels whole on the inside. So take care of your heart like you would a sacred garden. Pull the weeds, let go of what's dead, invite in the light, and tend to what blooms. You are worth the care, you are worth the softness, you are worth the time it takes to heal. Thank you for walking with me through this truth. May your journey ahead be filled with strength, serenity, and a love that begins within. Take care of your spirit, protect your peace, and as you go forward, may you carry gentleness wherever you tread. Good luck, and thank you. Good evening, everyone. You, my dear, are a miracle wrapped in skin, a force greater than the storms that rage, stronger than the doubt that creeps in on quiet nights. But I know, I know, that sometimes your own voice can turn against you. It can become a cruel thing, whispering that you are not enough, that you're broken, that you do not deserve the love, the light, the joy this world offers. But listen to me now, you do not have to bow to that voice. You do not have to let it rule the kingdom of your mind. When it rises like a wave threatening to pull you under, stand firm, stand tall, speak back with the grace and fire that already lives in you. You have to see yourself first, not just in the mirror, not just in the way others see you, but truly see yourself. The raw, the real, the whole, the parts that shine like morning sun and the parts that tremble in the dark. You cannot run from your own shadow, and you cannot silence a voice by pretending it isn't speaking. So you acknowledge it, you turn toward it instead of away. You listen, but you do not kneel, because oh, how easy it is to kneel, how easy it is to believe that the words in your mind are the final truth, that if that voice calls you unworthy, then unworthy you must be, that if it tells you you're not enough, then surely you are lacking, that if it says you will fail, then why even try? But no, my dear, you were not put on this earth to be ruled by the worst parts of yourself. You were not given this breath, this body, this beating heart just to surrender to something so small, so afraid, so wrong. When the voice rises, let it. Let it speak its fears. Let it spill its doubt. But do not bow. Stand. Stand tall like the trees that weather every season. Stand firm like the mountains that have seen storms and still remain. You may shake, but you will not fall. You may hear the voice, but you do not have to believe it. That voice, that cruel thing, it only knows the past. It does not see the future. It clings to every misstep, every hurt, every moment where you thought you were less. It does not see your growth. It does not see your strength. It does not see the fire still burning in you. So when it speaks, you must speak louder. You must tell it, yes, I have fallen, but I have risen. You must say, yes, I have struggled, but I am still here. You must answer with truth, with power, with love for yourself that is greater than any fear, because this life, your life, is not meant to be lived in constant battle against yourself. It is meant to be built with your own hands, shaped by your own voice, carried forward by your own belief. You are not just a survivor of your past, you are the creator of your future. And if you must walk with the weight of your doubts, then you walk anyway. If the voice tries to pull you back, then you push forward harder. If the worst parts of you try to steal your joy, then you take it back with both hands. You are here. You are more than your fears, more than your past, more than the words that try to keep you small. And when you speak to yourself, let it be with the same love you give so freely to others. Let it be with the same hope you have for the people you cherish. Let it be strong, let it be kind, let it be true. Because you, my dear, deserve to be spoken to with love. Even by yourself. The words you speak to yourself are not just echoes in your mind. They are builders, shaping the walls of your world, the roads beneath your feet. They are seeds growing into the way you see yourself, the way you move, the way you rise, or the way you sink. So why whisper defeat when you have the power to declare victory? Why drown yourself in pity when strength is still yours to claim? There will be days when the voice inside you is heavy, when it leans in close and tries to convince you that you are not capable, that you are not worthy. It will list your failures like a book of records, remind you of every misstep, every moment you fell short, and if you are not careful, if you are not steady, you may start to believe it. You may start to take its words as truth. But listen to me now. Your voice is the only one that truly matters. And your voice must not be one of pity. Your voice must not be one of surrender. It must be one of power, of certainty, of fire that does not go out. There is a difference between acknowledging your pain and letting it define you. You can see your struggles, hold them in your hands, even learn from them, but you do not have to drown in them. You do not have to sit in the wreckage of what hurt you and call it home. No, my dear, you stand up. You stand up and you speak with the same conviction that carried you through every hard night. You speak with the same fire that burned in you when you decided to try again. You tell yourself, I am more than what I have lost. I am more than what I have suffered. I am more than what the world has tried to take from me. You do not beg for strength, you claim it. You do not whisper for hope, you declare it. You do not wait for permission to believe in yourself. You believe because you must, because no one else can do it for you. This world will try to name you before you even know your own name. It will call you weak, call you broken, call you anything but whole. And if you let it, it will make a home in your mind, make a home in your heart, until you begin to say those words yourself. But you must never let the voices of doubt become your own. You must never mistake the echoes of fear for the truth of who you are. Speak to yourself as though you are your own champion, because you are. Speak as though you are worthy, because you are. Speak as though you are enough, because you have always been. Even when you feel small, even when the world weighs heavy on your shoulders, even when that voice of doubt rises up again, you must answer it not with pity, not with hesitation, but with the strength that has always lived inside you. Because the way you speak to yourself is the way you shape your future. Let your words build you up, not tear you down. Let them be the foundation you stand on, not the chains that keep you bound. Speak with power, my dear, because your voice is the one that will lead you home. Pain does not come to you empty-handed. It brings lessons wrapped in thorns, heavy with meaning. It comes to sit beside you, to test you, to see if you will shrink beneath its weight or if you will rise, changed but wiser, bruised but stronger. And I know it is tempting to see pain as nothing but a thief, a cruel thing that only takes, only breaks. But you must look closer. You must reach beyond the ache, beyond the sorrow, and ask yourself, what can this teach me? What can I take from this, not as a wound, but as wisdom? Because pain alone does not shape you. It is what you do with it, how you carry it, how you transform it into something greater than suffering. You have been through trials that would have broken another. You have seen nights so dark you thought the sun had forgotten you, and yet you are still here. That is not by accident. That is not by luck. That is because somewhere inside you, there is a fire that refuses to be extinguished. A knowing that even when you have been knocked down, even when you have been hurt, you are not defeated. The worst parts of yourself will try to tell you otherwise. They will take your pain and twist it, make it a cage instead of a lesson. They will whisper, this happened because you were not strong enough. This happened because you were not good enough. This happened because you were not worthy of anything better. And if you let those words settle in your bones, if you believe them, then pain will become nothing but suffering. And suffering will become nothing but a cycle that never ends. But you have a choice. You always have a choice. You can look at your pain and say, I see you, but you do not own me. You can take what was meant to destroy you and turn it into something that builds you instead. You can let your past inform you without defining you. Let your wounds remind you of where you have been without determining where you are going. That is the power you hold. That is the wisdom you earn when you refuse to be broken. And I know, my dear, that it is not easy. No one wakes up one morning and simply decides that their pain no longer stings. No one walks away from hurt without first feeling the weight of it. But strength is not built in ease. Wisdom is not found in comfort. The deepest lessons come from the hardest moments, and the wisest hearts are the ones that have been tested and still choose to love, to hope, to believe in something better. So when you think of your pain, do not think of it as a chain. Think of it as a stepping stone. Think of it as proof that you have survived what you once thought you never could. Think of it as the thing that sharpened you, refined you, made you into the person you are becoming. And when the worst parts of yourself try to tell you otherwise, when they try to use your past against you, you look them in the eye and say, I have been through fire and I did not burn. I became something stronger. Because you are not just a survivor of your pain, you are the keeper of its lessons. You are the author of what comes next. You have stumbled, you have fallen, you have made choices that sat heavy on your chest long after the moment passed. You have spoken words you wished you could swallow back, taken steps you wished you could retrace, And I know, oh, I know, how the weight of your own mistakes can feel heavier than the world itself. But listen to me now. You are not what you have done wrong. You are not the sum of your missteps. You are not your worst moment. The mind has a way of holding on to the things that hurt, playing them on repeat like an old song you can't turn off. It will remind you of the times you disappointed yourself, the times you let others down, the times you fell short of who you wanted to be. And if you are not careful, if you are not steady, you may start to believe that those moments are all you are. You may start to believe that no matter how far you go, you will always be tethered to your mistakes. But my dear, that is not the truth. That is a story fear tells you, not the story you must live. You must understand that mistakes are not meant to define you. They are meant to refine you. They are lessons, not labels. They are moments, not identities. And if you let them, they will teach you. They will show you where you need to grow, where you need to soften, where you need to stand taller. They will carve you into someone wiser, someone kinder, someone stronger. But only if you let them. The worst parts of yourself will try to use your mistakes as chains. They will tell you that because you have fallen before, you will always fall. That because you have failed, you are destined to fail again. But you must not listen. You must not let those voices have the final say. Instead, you must speak louder. You must tell yourself, yes, I have stumbled, but I have risen. Yes, I have failed, but I am still moving forward. Yes, I have made mistakes, but I am learning, I am growing, I am becoming, because that is the truth, my dear. You are always becoming. You are not stagnant, not stuck in the past, not bound to the person you were yesterday. You are in motion. You are changing. And every mistake you have made is a step, not a stop. Every regret you carry is a lesson, not a life sentence. You do not have to be perfect to be worthy. You do not have to be flawless to be enough. You only have to keep going. Forgive yourself, not because what happened doesn't matter, not because the choices you made had no consequences, but because you deserve to move forward. You deserve to carry wisdom, not shame. You deserve to step into the person you are meant to be without dragging the weight of your past behind you. So when the worst parts of yourself whisper your mistakes in your ear, you remind them that you are not what you have done wrong. You remind them that you are still writing your story. And with every new day, with every new choice, you are proving that you are more than your past. You are your future. The words you tell yourself shape the life you live. They become the walls you build around your mind, the path you walk every day, the air you breathe when no one else is listening. If your thoughts are laced with fear, then fear will guide your steps. If your words are soaked in doubt, then doubt will hold you still. But if you choose courage, if you choose to rewrite the way you speak to yourself, then you open a door to something greater. The worst parts of yourself do not whisper lies because they wish to see you rise. No, they cling to old wounds, past failures, moments of weakness, and they weave them into a story that keeps you small. They tell you that you cannot change, that you are bound by what has been, that hope is for others but not for you. And if you listen, if you accept their words as truth, then they will shape you into someone who never tries, never reaches, never believes in what is possible. But you are not a prisoner of your past. You are not bound to the words that no longer serve you. You have the power to take that old, tired script and write something new. And when that voice of doubt rises up, when it tells you that you are not enough, you must stand taller, speak louder, and answer with a truth it cannot shake. Tell yourself, I am capable. I am learning. I am growing. I am worthy of change, of success, of joy. Speak these words not just once, not just when the weight of self-doubt feels unbearable, but every day. Speak them until they settle into your bones, until they become your foundation, until they drown out the echoes of every false belief you once held about yourself. It is not enough to simply silence negativity. You must replace it with something stronger. You must plant words of power where fear once stood. You must remind yourself that you are not defined by who you were, but by who you are becoming. And becoming is a process, a journey, an unfolding of something beautiful and resilient. It will take time. Some days the old words will feel louder than the new. Some days you will stumble. Some days you will feel the weight of your past pressing against your chest, trying to convince you that you are still the person you used to be. But in those moments, you must stand firm. You must speak with power, not pity. You must declare, I am not my past. I am not my fears. I am moving forward, step by step, word by word. Because the way you speak to yourself is the way you shape your world. So speak boldly, speak with love, speak like you are building something unshakable, because you are. You have spent so much of your life giving kindness away. You have held hands that trembled, lifted voices that were breaking, soothed wounds that were never yours to carry. You have been gentle with others in their sorrow, in their fear, in their moments of doubt. You have spoken to them with warmth, with understanding, with the softness that says, you are not alone. But my dear, when was the last time you turned that kindness inward? When was the last time you cradled your own heart with the same tenderness? It is a strange thing how we learn to offer grace to others but deny it to ourselves. How we tell friends, you are only human, mistakes happen, but when we stumble, we call ourselves failures. How we remind the people we love that they are worthy, even when they feel small, but we stand in the mirror and list every reason we do not measure up. We pour patience, compassion, and love into those around us, yet when it comes to our own reflection, we become our harshest critics. But hear me now, if you can extend grace to others, you can extend it to yourself. If you can stand beside someone in their darkest hour and remind them they are still worthy of love, then you must believe the same is true for you. You are not the exception to the kindness you so freely give. You are not the one soul undeserving of grace. You are not meant to carry your burdens with clenched fists while offering open hands to everyone else. The worst parts of yourself will try to convince you otherwise. They will tell you that your mistakes define you, that your flaws make you unworthy, that you must do more, be more, prove more before you deserve the same softness you give so naturally to others. But those words are not truth. They are shackles. They are meant to keep you small, to keep you bound to a version of yourself that no longer fits. You must break free. You must meet yourself where you are with all your imperfections, all your struggles, all your regrets, and say, even here, I deserve kindness. Even now, I deserve grace. You must learn to speak to yourself with the same patience you offer a friend, to comfort yourself with the same warmth you would a child, to understand that healing does not come from self-punishment, but from self-compassion. You will not always get it right. Some days the old habits will return. Some days the voice of self-judgment will whisper louder than the voice of self-love. But do not let that stop you. Keep choosing grace again and again. Keep choosing to soften, to be patient, to remind yourself that you are a work in progress, and that is a beautiful thing. Because the way you love yourself teaches the world how to love you. And my dear, you deserve a love that is gentle, a love that forgives, a love that sees your worth even on your hardest days. So start with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be patient with yourself. And watch how that kindness reshapes everything. There is a voice inside you, a quiet one, a strong one. It is the voice that has carried you through the nights when doubt was heavy, when fear sat on your chest, and refused to let you breathe. It is the voice that told you to rise when everything in you wanted to sink. It is the voice that whispered, keep going, even when you did not know how. And yet there is another voice, one that speaks with the weight of every mistake, every failure, every moment you have questioned yourself. It is the voice that tells you you are not enough, that you will never be enough, that no matter how hard you try, no matter how far you go, you will always fall. It is the voice of your worst fears, your deepest insecurities, the parts of you that are still tangled in the past, still afraid to believe in the future. The battle between these voices is not new. You have heard them both for years. Some days the strong voice wins. Some days the voice of doubt is louder. But the question is not which voice speaks. The question is which voice you choose to listen to. Because you do have a choice. You are not a prisoner of your past. You are not bound to the words of fear, of shame, of uncertainty. You do not have to accept them as truth just because they are familiar. You have the power to turn away from the voice that keeps you small, to lean into the one that lifts you up. And when the worst parts of yourself try to drag you back, when they call you by the names you have worked so hard to shed, you must stand firm. You must answer with certainty. You must tell them, I am not who I was. I am not my worst days. I am not my past mistakes. I am more. I am growing. I am moving forward, and nothing will hold me back. This is not about pretending you do not have struggles. This is not about silencing the parts of yourself that still ache, that still doubt, that still fear. No, this is about acknowledging them without letting them define you. This is about looking them in the eye and saying, you are a part of me, but you are not all of me. You do not get to write the ending of my story, and what a story it is, my dear. A story of resilience, of rising, of refusing to stay where you have been. A story of becoming again and again and again. You have walked through fire, and yet you are still here. You have faced the weight of doubt, the grip of fear, the whisper of your worst thoughts, and still you rise. Not because it has been easy, not because the path has been smooth, but because somewhere inside you there is a voice that refuses to be silenced, a voice that believes, that hopes, that knows you are more than your pain, more than your past, more than your mistakes. You are not bound by what was. You are free to step into what can be. You are free to rewrite the story, to reclaim your power, to speak to yourself with kindness and grace. You are free to move forward, not with the weight of shame, but with the wisdom of all you have learned. So walk boldly, my dear. Trust yourself. Speak with love. Act with courage. And never let the worst parts of yourself decide your fate. You are worthy of joy, of peace, of a future that is bigger than your fears. And no matter where you go, no matter what comes next, always remember you are stronger than you know. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for allowing these words to meet you where you are. Keep going, keep growing. The best is yet to come.